So this is the crack that we're going to try to repair today. As you can see, it's spread a little bit. And so I'm going to actually be drilling a couple holes on each side of this, or one hole on each side. Not all the way through, but just to help with the spreading of this crack. It's in a tricky place because it is on a curve. So we're going to do our best, but it is going to be a little tricky. And here is the gouge also that we are going to be repairing. I have this tub and shower repair kit. I got this on Amazon. And before we do that, we need to start with a few supplies that are going to help us stay protected. Got a pair of gloves here, and a rag and a mask, and this will help because this is pretty strong stuff. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area, and let's get started. Okay, first we're going to be looking at what is in this kit. Okay, so we've got a little stick here, and the liquid hardener polish, so I guess that's probably for the end part. Alcohol prep pad, and some sandpaper. Looks like very fine sandpaper. Okay, so it has two different grades of sandpaper. And we will be wet sanding with these. Let's see what else they have in here. This is the gel coat. Okay, so the first thing it says to do here is to enlarge the gouge by sanding it to a depth of at least 1/16 of an inch. So first we're going to sand it dry, and I will use the bigger grit sandpaper. Drill one hole on this side. Going to use my rag to get rid of all that powder. Notice that I didn't drill all the way through, but I did drill a bit of a hole there on each side of the crack. Okay, so next I'm going to sand the crack. Not to use the same part I already used. Interesting, because you can't see the crack very well right now. Okay, so we want to take the rag again and wipe all of that sanding area that we've just done. Now the instructions say to remove a half a jar of the gel paste and add 4 to 6 drops of hardener. I don't think we're going to need that much. I would rather save some of it for a later project, so I'm just going to use maybe a fourth of that and use 2 to 3 drops of hardener instead. It says mix together on a scrap of cardboard, and it says if the temperature is over 80 degrees, lessen the amount of hardener. So it also says on the box that you should make sure that the temperature is at least 60 degrees. So don't do this in the cold. You want to make sure it's in a warm area that you're doing this. So I'm going to open the gel paste. And this is the part you will really want your respirator on, because this stuff is really strong. Okay, so we're going to use our little popsicle stick that was included to do this. And that's what it looks like inside. Very white. And that's why this is for white tubs. Okay. Okay. I would say that that is about, I'm gonna put just a little bit back. I'd say that is about a fourth of the jar right there. I'm gonna shut this just so that we're not breathing in all this stronger than we need to, even though we've already got this here too. Okay, I'm going to add 2 drops of hardener. First, 1, 2, maybe 3. Okay. Going to also put this lid back on and put that away from me so that it's not stronger than we need it to be. Okay, so I'm mixing this all in. And the next thing we're going to do is to apply this to the damaged area with this wooden popsicle stick. Once you add the hardener in and you mix it around real good, it's a little more of a spreadable consistency. Okay, so now we're going to apply this to the damaged area. I'm gonna just get some of this off so I get the main mixed part on it. Okay, going to take my stick and apply it to our crack. I'm going to cover the whole area, including the holes that we drilled. Okay, so if you get anything on the walls, make sure you remove that too. You don't want to have to sand and remove hard things more than you need to. So I'm actually going to just take my glove and spread it right back on my cardboard that I have. And it says to slightly overfill the crack to allow for shrinkage. Okay, so now we're also going to do this gouge over here. I'm going to do that. I think I need to get a little more of this off because I put quite a big layer on. And I like how nicely this is matching my tub. My tub is pretty white, and so it's actually working pretty well. I'm actually going to use my glove to thin it a little bit so that I'm not going to have to sand way more than I need to. The main area we want to be filled is the crack, the part that's actually damaged. And then we want it to blend in with the rest, so we don't want any really high parts. We want it to look as natural and blended as we can. So let's put a little bit more in that crack here, just because I think I took a little too much off. Okay, let's get some more of this from the other area as well, from our crack. Quite a lot on there. And we want to remove it before it starts to harden. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of spreading it out a little bit. This amount that I put on the cardboard was actually plenty. This was only about 1/4 of the jar. If you have obviously a lot bigger crack, you'll need more. But for me, 1/4 of the jar with 2 to 3 drops of hardener worked excellent. I have let this sit for a day now. And I got the sandpaper wet, so I'm going to wet sand it now, which is what the instructions say. So at the beginning, this is going to be very rough. It has definitely hardened overnight. So I actually had to go back to a 100 grit. I had this for my sander. I'm not going to use my sander, I'm just going to do this by hand, but I got this wet. When I was using the really fine sandpaper from the kit, it wasn't working very well, so I decided I was going to get some of this big stuff off first with a sandpaper that is more coarse. And this curves around the edge. It actually kind of works nicely, just kind of want this to match the surrounding area in height, so you don't want any parts that are super high. Make sure to keep a rag handy again. So here's the area again. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's actually been blending in pretty nicely. So I'm going to take this fine sandpaper and make sure you're using it wet. And just very lightly go over that whole area again. We want it to blend in as well as we can. So I'm going to sand this. I'm actually taking some 100 grit sandpaper that's wet, and I'm going to sand off just some of the rough parts here very lightly, especially on the edges. You want it to be not feel raised, but to feel very smooth and have it match up with the tub. Now I'm going to use the sandpaper from the kit, the fine sandpaper. You can see that this has already been pretty used, but there is a little bit more use out of it that I can get. And I guess the nice thing is that the sandpaper will curve to the shape of the tub. This one's nice when you've already gotten a lot of the really big, obvious stuff off. Okay, so here's the part I'm a little nervous about, because I've never used this before, so I don't know how this is going to turn out, but this says for metal, plastic, and fiberglass. And it says to apply with a cloth or a paper towel, to not let dry and buff. Okay, so it will be interesting to see how this works. I think it's gonna work okay. Just gonna tear this. And I'm gonna put a little bit on this cloth. I'm gonna do the first one first. So I'm going to do the area surrounding this too. Since I did sand the rest of this area, so it looks pretty good. You can tell a little difference from the area that I did and the surrounding area. So here's the finished area. I think I'm going to need a spray in order to blend this in a little bit better. I will do that, and we will see the results with that on it. See if that makes it not stand out as much. This one right here, so this is what I ended up going with. It's called Appliance Appliance Epoxy from Rust-Oleum, and it says washable and moisture resistant, smooth factor-like finish, ultra hard enamel. So I ended up going with this just because this was cheaper than the Krylon one. It's possible that the Krylon one does a better job, but this seemed to work fine for me, so I use this one. So it says to make sure that you shake it for about a minute, just to make sure that it's really distributed well. And the ball inside should shake the paint around so that it mixes. It's kind of like a mixing ball. So anyway, after you've done that for a minute, then you will hold it about 12 inches from the surface. Just do a very light coat. I think overall it looks pretty good.